All right. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. First, we have actions taken in closed session. Did you have anything to read out, Madam Clerk?
Yes, there's one thing to read out today. On a 7-0 vote, the board approved a 1-month general leave of absence with benefits to a classified employee at Saddleback College. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So next we have the invocation led by Trustee Wright, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Bill J.
Our Father who art in heaven, we thank thee for gathering us together in this Board of Trustees meeting this evening. We thank thee for the freedoms that we have and to live in this great land of America. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of South San Diego County, the families who have lost their homes due to fires, and those who may have been injured. We pray for our military members and veterans. We are thankful for our students and our dedicated faculty, staff, and administration in our district. Bless us in all of our efforts during this final examination and commencement week. This evening, bless our Board of Trustees, our Chancellor, and all in attendance at this board meeting. We sincerely pray in his name. Amen.
Amen.
Will you please join me in the salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have some slips here on public comments. We'll start off with Christina Hinkle. And if we can get Kurt Meyer on deck.
My name is Christina Hinkle, and I'm here to speak on behalf of part-time faculty and faculty in general. Throughout the state, actually both at the local, state, and national levels, we've seen a decrease in full-time positions available to us. In fact, this year in political science, there was only one position available at Fresno City College, and I like Southern California so much that I didn't want to move up there. Part-time faculty have to work at least 3 different districts in order to make ends meet, myself included. In addition to exorbitant gas bills and gas prices, we're also doing our students a disservice. We can't provide them the attention that they deserve and require in order to succeed not only at the college level but also beyond. Because we're only paid for the hours that we're in the classroom, we're forced to teach at other community colleges, which reduces our availability for prep time, for office hours, and for general time that we can actually support our students. So I strongly encourage you to consider these issues as we approach the negotiations. Thank you so much for your time.
Next, as stated, we have Kurt Meyer, and then if we can have Allison Camelot on deck.
Good evening, Chancellor Portner, Board of Trustee members, student member Carrillo. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I wanted to address Article 27, letter A, about benefits, and a proposal for a 2-tier benefit system. A literature review, which includes a critical mass of data and opinions, which include but are not limited to Berkeley's New Labor Forum, a journal of ideas, analysis, and debate, observes that the effects of 2-tier contracts is that they create 2 classes of workers. Workers who do the same job for unequal benefits and unequal pay and unequal pensions. This divides employees and workers. It is separate and therefore inherently unequal. No surprise, it increases employee turnover rate. It lowers employee morale. It reduces productivity. It's inherently unstable in that workers turn over and then the second tier becomes the new baseline of employees. My wife works at Ralph's. Well, she's been there for 20 years. It's a great job. And I met her there. And Ralph's is our livelihood as well as this district. I appreciate the work that she does. I appreciate those who make sure that we all get on planes safely and get off them just as safely as we boarded them. I appreciate those who make automobiles. But I know that the two-tier system has not served the employees of those workforces, and I'm confident that it will not serve the employees of this district. So I would respectfully encourage the Board of Trustees and the negotiating team and the negotiating team of the faculty to work together to explore alternatives to maintaining affordable health care benefit costs, which I'm very sensitive to. Thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you. Next we have Allison Camelot, and then Mike Long would be next.
Hi, Allison Camelot. I teach sociology here at Saddleback College. I second everything that Kurt said. I want to talk about the two-tiered system as well. I am a sociologist, so as a sociologist, I would never support this. This stratification and inequality is bad enough that it's in the greater society. We're better than this. We're better than this here. That's why I want to work here. So I can't even believe that it's being proposed.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about it.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Long. I'm a counselor here at Saddleback College, and primarily I work with our student athletes. So I wanted to address the athletes in particular, but counseling as a whole. I know Saddleback has a great reputation for their athletic programs and the amount of students that transfer on to four-year universities. Having a different contract other than the instructional faculty and spreading us thin will 100% decrease the number of student athletes that can transfer on to four-year universities. I'm the only person at this college, Saddleback, that understands the NCAA, Division I, Division II, Division III, and the NAIA rules that you need to do to transfer on. So it concerns me and worries me, if I'm being told when to work. Another concern is I won't be able to work with my colleagues. When we have articulation meetings, we need to work together as a team because there's tons and tons and tons of transfer information that comes in, and we have to be able to work together in order to get that information out to the students in their best interests. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next we have swearing in of our student trustee. Just do it right here. All right. I guess you can stay there, and then we'll read it off from here. All right. So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Keefe Carrillo,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will well and faithfully discharge these duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have anybody here in support that you'd like to introduce and recognize?
I'd like to thank every single one of you. Though I may not know every single one of you, I've met with a couple of you.
Go ahead and press your mic button. That's your first lesson.
Okay. It's my first time, so cut me some leeway. Yeah. But I'd like to thank every single one of you. Though I may not know every single one of you individually, I have met with a couple of you. And, I can truly say that I wouldn't have ran for election if I didn't say that I'm proud of these colleges, both these colleges, in particular. I'm I'm very happy with the decisions made in these colleges, and I know I'm going to learn a lot, with, serving here as a student trustee with my fellow trustee members. And, I'm really excited. It's going to be a really interesting year, and thank you for having me here, really. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations. So next we have resolutions. First one from Irvine Valley College.
The first resolution is Carol Danna from Irvine Valley College, who is the classified employee winning the Outstanding Service Award. Whereas Carol Danna, Irvine Valley College School of Fine Arts Senior Administrative Assistant, has been awarded the Irvine Valley College Classified Employee Outstanding Service Award, having served at IVC since 2005 and throughout South Orange County Community College District since 1990. And whereas Carol Danna juggles multiple responsibilities in a very demanding position with aplomb and grace, routinely going above and beyond her basic job responsibilities, selflessly giving her time to assist with countless college-wide needs and assisting other offices with their wide-reaching skill set. And whereas one colleague stated, in a workplace that is continually changing by its very nature, Carol Danna displays the unique ability to create a predictable environment that provides a steady, efficient, and effective routine through which each department and program can be productive. And whereas more than a dozen colleagues praise Carol Danna for her dedication and commitment to IVC, leadership abilities, and dependability, whereas in addition to her standard work responsibility, Carol Danna is a key player in ensuring that a smooth operation of a bustling performing arts program that offers about 150 events per year. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do commend and congratulate Carol Danna for her outstanding service to and representation of Irvine Valley College. And now, can you please read the names of the Board of Trustees?
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Jamal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Patberg.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Student Trustee Carrillo.
Aye.
Congratulations.
All right, Carol, there's one other thing that I carefully hid beneath the dais here. Your name is added to the IVC perpetual plaque for classified outstanding service. Here's your name right there. So you can hang on to this for 24 hours and then you have to give it back. Yeah, so just be with it for a while.
That is.
All right. Okay.
And the next one is Giziel Leftwich. Is Giziel here? Yeah, there she is. Okay. Giziel Leftwich, who's Saddleback College Classified Employee Outstanding Service Award. Whereas Giziel Leftwich, a senior administrative assistant at Saddleback College Division of Liberal Arts and an employee of the college for more than 25 years, is commended and appreciated for her advocacy for students and trusted assistance to the division, faculty, and staff. And whereas Giziel Leftwich is admired for her help to students, often assisting them with registering from classes and acquiring test books for those who cannot afford them. And whereas Giziel Leftwich is considered the college's resource on study abroad programs, she has taken leadership in negotiating pricing with agency liaisons and working with faculty to enhance curricula to attract more students to enroll, and creating documents to streamlining study abroad processes and procedures. And whereas Giziel Leftwich is admired by her peers and students for her generosity towards less fortunate community members, she is called humble and compassionate human being who has improved the functionality of the Division of Liberal Arts. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend Giziel Leftwich for her outstanding service and unique dedication to Saddleback College, and bestow upon her the Saddleback College Classified Employee Outstanding Service Award for 2013-2014. Can you
Have a roll call, please.
please read the roll call vote?
Trustee Jay?
Aye.
Trustee Jamal?
Aye.
Trustee Lang? Aye. Trustee Milchiker?
Aye.
Trustee Patberg?
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast?
Aye.
Trustee Wright?
Aye.
Student Trustee Carrillo?
Aye.
Congratulations. And the next one is Sandi Pope, and this is the District Service Outstanding Classified Employee Service Award for this year and this year. I think I'll start reading now because we'll take us forever if I don't. Thank you. Whereas Sandi Pope, an Application Specialist 2 in District IT, has been selected for the 2013-2014 District Service Classified Employee Outstanding Service Award, an honor bestowed upon her, a classified employee each year from Saddleback College, Irvine Valley College, and District Services. Whereas Sandi Pope is responsible for systems support and training for employees and student district-wide, advocating for the users of essential services inside District IT to ensure they are the number one focus and top priority. And whereas Sandi Pope understands the inner workings and the language of IT, yet is also possesses the unique skills of being able to translate technical material into understandable training materials and guidelines for the rest of us. Whereas District Services implemented SharePoint, Sandi Pope took the initiative to facilitate training workshops, lunch and learn sections, and develop training documentation to assist staff in learning the new intranet communication platform. And whereas her colleagues state that Sandi Pope is extremely patient with training users how to use systems properly, and she is widely respected for her strong work ethic, intelligence, humor, patience, and dedication to outreach district-wide. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Sandi Pope for her outstanding service and unwavering dedication to our district, bestowing upon her the District Services Classified Employee Outstanding Service Award for 2013-2014. And please read the roll. Thank you.
Trustee Jay?
Aye.
Trustee Jamal?
Aye.
Trustee Lang? Aye. Trustee Milchiker?
Aye.
Trustee Patberg?
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast?
Aye.
Trustee Wright?
Aye.
Student Trustee Carrillo?
Aye.
Sandy, if you want that 2 changed to 3, just see Terry. All right. Next, we have commendations from President Roquemore.
I'd like to ask Professor Rybold to join me up here, please. All right. Gary, we had a great event for forensics last night, wasn't it? Yeah. And recognized Gary then, as well as the team that will be recognized later. You know, there are employees who work for an organization, and there are employees who live an organization. Professor Gary Rybold lives, breathes, and exudes Irvine Valley College. Gary Rybold has served for more than 21 years as a director of forensics at Irvine Valley College, and he has been a forensics coach for over 25 years. Did I get that right? Yeah. Good. During this time, Dr. Rybold has brought great honor to Irvine Valley College by coaching teams that have won over 300 sweepstakes awards. First as the district team, which included Saddleback College at that time, and for 13 years, and then as the Irvine Valley College team. Squads that Dr. Rybold coached have won 14 national titles, placed in the top 4 at state championships 15 times, has won 10 league championships. Irvine Valley College Forensics Team is the current national champion in the year-long sweepstakes for the National Parliamentary Debate Association and the current double gold sweepstakes winner of the Phi Rho Pi Wheeler Division of the Community College National Championships. What he does other times, Dr. Rybold worked to establish IVC as an international leader in debate by hosting 13 international debate teams on our campus and by taking over 100 students and coaches to the People's Republic of China for debate demonstrations, study abroad programs, and competitions, as serving as the first certified debate trainer in China for the International Debate Education Association. Dr. Rybold conducted research on debating in China as a Fulbright Hays Scholar and received his PhD in applied linguistics from Beijing Foreign Studies University, and wrote an English language debate textbook for Chinese college students. Dr. Rybold has pioneered innovative pedagogy to substantially increase the quality and quantity of speeches and critical thinking in public speaking classes. It is my true honor and privilege, as Gary is a friend, to present this certificate of commendation to Dr. Gary Rybold for his outstanding contributions to Irvine Valley College.
Glenn said I could say a few words as if he could stop me, right? I'm the speech coach. I would like to start by thanking the people who are most instrumental in my success. I have had 11 of my assistant coaches go on to full-time jobs. I worked with Larry Radden here at Saddleback. I'm working with Jules French, who's in the audience, and Edwin Tiongson. We put in so much time as a group, and we become good friends besides going off to 40 days of tournaments. I also want to thank their families, because one of the things about going off to forensics tournaments, leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning, coming back at 10 o'clock at night, our families are the ones who have to sacrifice. My wife, Xiao Qing, has been a delight to me, and yet she's the one that's most looking forward to me retiring from forensics. We've also had great administrators who have supported us throughout the years. Our student government has been outstanding in this, but we're on a campus where I'm just proud to go to work every day. We have a facilities and maintenance that makes our grounds shine every single day. Nikki Pulianda makes sure that we have vans are there because we need them when we need them, that rooms to be able to do for either tournaments or for rehearsals. It's just been one of those kind of environments. I worked in the corporate world. I never wanted to go back to that corporate world. After I first came to Irvine Valley College, I've always been treated in such a way that I know that I could, if I wanted to work, I could produce the kind of teams that would make everybody proud. Last, I'd like to thank God for all the opportunities that He's given me. I think that working at Irvine Valley College has been a blessing. Thank you for your recognition.
All right, next we have board reports. Start with Trustee Jay.
Yes, I'd just like
Microphone.
Your mic.
Mike.
regarding people
Trustee
who,
Jay. There you go.
regarding people who work for these wonderful, particularly with forensics, which we're dealing with here, and it's wonderful because people don't get paid for this by and large, and when their suggestions regarding their objectivity and so forth, it's just a tremendous amount of work and very little recognition except what you see here tonight. So I'd like to congratulate all of you who have worked so hard and so long for this award.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Jamal.
Thank you.
It's a busy time of the year. Commencement at the end of the week, and looking forward to that. The scholarship awards at both IVC and Saddleback College were well done, very moving as usual. I think how you found the speaker for the Saddleback College commencement, the first speaker, was absolutely amazing. Not that they all weren't amazing, but that was a particularly unique story. I think we could all agree with that. I was pleased to participate as a judge with my fellow trustee Marcia Milchiker in OC Orange County Entrepreneurial Social Entrepreneurship Competition managed by Saddleback College and hosted by UCI. I commend the staff here and faculty and who were involved in putting that together. I thought it was very well done. I enjoyed being a judge. Next year maybe I'll be a finalist judge as opposed to the precursor judge. But I think it was a great, really well done program. And lastly, we had the listening sessions, the trustee listening sessions earlier this month, and I think they were meaningfully better than previous sessions. I think that the input we got was valuable, candid, and direct, and I think it provides us an opportunity to really try to move the college forward. And I really want to take a moment to thank the Chancellor Portner for his leadership in making these listening sessions a reality, because the format was a little bit different. It takes a little bit of guts and leadership to change the format of something that's been moving along in a certain way for a long time, and I thank him for that in particular. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Milchiker.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm really nervous now speaking in front of the forensics coach. So anyway, I thought I would just list some of the things I attended that were just fabulous. This is the end of the year, the end of the academic year. There's a certain rhythm to academia that I just love. I just really thrive on it. And the excellence here, as you could hear from our forensic coach and from our classified employees and from everyone, is just incredible. And the rhythm of academia is something that I just thrive on. I just love it. Anyway, these are a few things I attended. I attended the Saddleback College Partners in Algebra Mentors and Mentee Reception, the Saddleback College Dance Against Cancer put on by Audra Di Cordova, which was actually from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, and they raised about $17,000 for cancer. She has a son, Supermax, so you Google him and you could learn all about him. He's an 8-year-old kid that has brain cancer. And they had the students dance from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, and then the students, including our student body president and many of the girl students, actually cut their hair off, gave their locks to the people who have lost their hair, children who have lost their hair, and then had their head shaved, including the student at the scholarship award ceremony who's from Africa, who mentioned she shaved her head at the time. So we just have wonderful students here as well as staff. Went to the Orange County Community College Legislative Task Force meeting. I was a judge with Trustee Giziel in the social entrepreneurship competition and really read many of the business proposals. It was really a fascinating thing. Saddleback College Angels for the Arts Student Showcase, where the 24 students that won scholarships from the Angel for the Arts put on presentations. It was just wonderful. The speech showcase of Saddleback College in the Fine Art Courtyard, the Saddleback College Nearest Pinning Ceremony, the Saddleback College Vets Recognition Ceremony, our listening sessions, and both scholarship award ceremony at Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College, and the EOPS recognition ceremony at Saddleback College. We gave out at Irvine Valley College $268,000 to our students. We gave out at Saddleback College $720,000 in scholarships. That means we gave out $1 million, about $1 million in scholarships to our students this year. If this gets out, more students will be coming here to Saddleback College. So maybe we should get this out there so students will come by here. So I'm just very proud of the people that donated, the students that won, and I'm very proud to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Padwick.
Okay, I'll try and be quick, but there's obviously been a lot going on, and I've attended many of the same things that people have mentioned. I went, of course, to the listening sessions. There was an IVC Jazz Festival, so I was at that. And then, of course, I went to the nurse pinning here at Saddleback. I went to the IVC Scholarship Award ceremony and had intended later that day to go to Saddleback's, but when I went back to my house, I discovered that we were under possible evacuation orders, and I had all kinds of voicemails from neighbors saying they were going to take my pets if I didn't come home, if we had to evacuate. That was the Northern Fire on Camp Pendleton. So I live very close to that. I think Terry Pflugerman also had the same kind of experience. So it was a little bit scary, and first scholarship award ceremony I've ever had to miss, but trust me, it was for a very valid reason. So then I went to the speech and debate banquet just yesterday. And that was amazing, as always, but this was one of certainly the best because there were so many wonderful comments about Gary Rybold, as you've heard tonight. And then I went to the Saddleback College VA recognition ceremonies, Saddleback College Athletic Awards ceremony, and I'm intending to go to the bash, of course, that's coming up this coming weekend, as well as the both graduations and the journalism award ceremony later this week. So it's busy time, but it's great. We're really enjoying it all. Thank you.
Thank you. I unfortunately missed the listening sessions. I was sitting at a pool watching my swimmers during league prelims. But I heard they were excellent, and I'm very, again, appreciative of Chancellor Portner for changing the format, as Trustee Jamal had mentioned. I'm trying to avoid my ums in front of the forensic coach. The one thing I was able to attend was the scholarship ceremonies. I made it to both of those. They were both very well attended and very entertaining. There's lots of fervor there. People really happy to give out money and people really happy to receive it. And so we really appreciate both ends of that part of the process. And I'm looking forward to commencement this Friday, in which I once again get to give certificates to the early college graduates that I helped mentor at Beckman High School. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have Trustee Wright.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I attended a number of events also this last month. Unfortunately, I missed also the listening session. I was in the hospital at that time, so I'd rather have been here, but I had to be someplace else. I attended the transfer celebration honors recognition at Saddleback College. Wonderful event. I also attended the celebration for Brooks Sauter. She's the California Classified Employee of the Year, and I thought that was wonderful. I attended the nurses pinning ceremony. I attended the retirement congratulation event for the 3 individuals who are retiring from the Division of Math, Science, Engineering. I also attended the 5th annual end of the year Vets recognition event. I attended the breakfast for the Irvine Valley Scholarship Award ceremony. And I just wanted to comment on the scholarships that are being given out. Trustee Milchecker also mentioned the amounts at IVC. They gave out $368,000 to awarding 477 scholarships. Here at Saddleback College, they provided over $720,000 for more than 400 students. I thought that's wonderful. I'm looking forward to the end of the semester and for commencement and other activities at the end of this week. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Lang.
Yes, thank you. Well, it has been a very busy month, starting, of course, with the listening sessions that we all had. And again, I echo my fellow trustees' comments that I thought this was a very successful format, that we get great feedback from everybody, and I think you'll be hearing more about some of the ideas that came out of that session, so looking forward to that. Doing a lot of traveling this past month. Had a conference in Newport, went to a conference in Las Vegas, and then followed that up with a conference in Washington, D.C. The conference here locally in Newport was the trustees conference for the community college, sponsored by the Community College League of California. I think I was probably the only board member that represented the group at that. I will be filing a separate report on that, just to talk a little bit about some of the things that I learned in attending that session. And also attended the vet recognition ceremony as well, and looking forward to commencement this Friday. Thank you.
All right. Student Trustee Carrillo.
Though I have nothing to report formally, I can say that I met with Gary Rybold on a notice. I can tell you that he's a very interesting man. He's very knowledgeable, really, in debate, and I can really say that I'm proud of what happened with the scholarships, and that's a lot of money towards the students, and I know they'll use it wisely for everything academia wise, and I'm very proud. Thank you.
All right. Chancellor Portner.
We're now at the very end of the school year, and I want to take this opportunity to extend my appreciation and thank you to all of our excellent, hardworking faculty that have spent another year ensuring the success of our students and working towards improving student success. I want to thank you. Second item was just mentioned about the listening sessions, and if you were in attendance, you know that some notes were taken for the board of the various topics that were brought up of concern. And I wanted to point your attention to item E, which is coming up after this, in board requests for reports. You'll see a request from all board members for 7 different items that deal with the main topics that were discussed. Now, it doesn't mean everything that was brought up we'll have a report on it, but I wanted you to know that there is some follow-up, and what I'm planning to do is to bring one of these items of concern to each board meeting as the discussion item for that meeting, and so the board can become more familiar with the concerns, or more than just the concerns, also some of the explanations of what's going on and what we can do in the future.
All right. Thank you. And next we have college presidents' reports.
Okay, thank you very much. First off, if you would like to help us rebuild our scholarship funds, IBC will be holding an IBC Golf Classic on June 10th. Not necessary to play golf. You can come for dinner and be with the players. It's always enjoyable to do that. But that's how we build the scholarship money. We've talked about our forensics team. We also have a Model UN team, and it is growing and improving every year. For the 3rd year in a row, the IVC Model UN team took away top honors, which is called Outstanding Delegation, at the National Model United Nations Conference held in New York, and which is quite a big gathering. There's more than 5,000 students representing over 200 colleges and universities there. So certainly they will too be recognized at a later meeting. And then finally, just to be quick here, UCI has a program where students that transferred from IVC then recommend back for awards for faculty that they had when they were at IVC. Okay, but now they're at UCI. And so this year, those students have nominated Stephen Rochford, who was here earlier, may still be, Michael Cassens, Seth Hockwald, Gary Rybold, I think he's still here, and Colin McCahay was also recognized. So it's a broad diversity of faculty that will be recognized by their former students now at UCI.
Could you ask them to stand if they're here?
If they're here, yeah.
Can you stand? Yeah. And the recognition will be on May 28th at the University Club at UCI. And
Great.
So if you'd like to attend,
Wonderful.
I can give you more information.
Great.
Perfect. Okay.
You may have noticed I'm not Todd Burnett. I think he's a little taller than I am. I'm serving in his stay. First, I'd like to congratulate Student Trustee Carrillo. Your passion and commitment to service comes through very strongly, so I look forward to your success. This is a special time of the year, as many have identified. We definitely look forward to commencement this Friday. It's the culmination of a lot of hard work, a lot of dreams and aspirations, so we're definitely looking forward to that. In the weeks leading up to commencement, as many of you have mentioned, we have celebrations, we have recognitions. Our nursing pinning ceremony is one of those gems of a celebration. It's one of those that I think is signature to our college. We're very proud of that. We had 53 graduates go through. Many have mentioned the vet celebration. We had transfer celebration, DSPS, and we have a number of them this week. One of the things that brings it all together, aside from the obvious recognition, is the lives that come with that. It's always interesting to see the families and the reactions, the stories of success and the stories of struggle that really add value to our day-to-day work. So it's a very fun time of year. Want to congratulate Brooke Sauter, as mentioned earlier, who is receiving the Classified Employee of the Year by the California Community College Board of Governors. She will be traveling to Sacramento and will be receiving that award tomorrow at the Board of Governors meeting. We're very, very proud of Brooke. The last two events I want to speak to, one is the Social Entrepreneurship Competition. And I thank both Trustees Milchiker and Jamal for serving in the capacity you served. It's truly incredible to see the intelligence and the innovation in the projects. There were 11 finalists that made the presentation on May the 10th. There was awards of $10,000, $5,000, $2,500, $1,000, and $500 for the short list of finalists. But I think one thing that's really incredible is that all 11 finalists will be receiving investor assessment coaching. That's going to be helpful as the September event for the final pitch comes in. And then the scholarship, record-breaking numbers in terms of dollars and numbers, but it's really the lives that will be impacted that I think is more astonishing. Thank you.
I thought you were going to mention the record-breaking heat.
Correct.
It's a subtle push for air conditioning in your gym. Okay. So as mentioned, we have the board request for reports. You'll see there are 7 items.
No, they're not here.
Yeah, they're not here.
Okay.
Studying for finals.
Right.
So, and I guess Christine Hinkle will be happy that one of those is the 50% law. All right. Do we need to read out each one of those, or the agenda is sufficient? Okay. So with that, I need a motion
So moved.
to approve the requests. We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah. All those in favor? Or do we need to do we need to do the
Vote.
register vote? Okay.
Trustee Jay?
Trustee Jay?
I voted already, but it didn't come through.
Just early.
Alrighty, let's try it. Yeah.
All right. Passes unanimously with 1 student advisory yes vote. Thank you. All right. Next, we have discussion item 4.1, Irvine Valley College and Saddleback College Student Success Summits.
Good evening. How is everyone? My name is Professor Rupa Mathur. I teach in the School of Business Sciences at Irvine Valley College. I also have here with me Kathleen Greiner. She's the Dean of Online and Extended Education at IVC. And I have Patty Flanagan, who's also the Dean of Online Education and Learning Resources. Professor Jane Horlings also helped us out with the summit, but she's off mentoring young women today, so she couldn't make it with us today. What's the purpose of the summit? What we wanted to do was we really wanted to define what student success means to all of us. And also, we knew we had a lot of best practices in the faculty, the administrators, and the staff here of how we can actually implement some student success strategies. So that was our main purpose. We did it last year, too. Last year, Saddleback held their own. We were invited to it. IVC was invited. IVC did our own, and they were invited. But this year, we decided instead of having 2 separate student success summits, one at each college, that we would collaborate and have one larger summit in the spring. So that's what we did this year on April 25th. We had about 130 attendees, and we also have the link there if you're interested in seeing any of the presentations that were there that day. Our keynote speaker was Dr. Diane Rodriguez. She is from the RP group, and they did a wonderful research study on what is student success. So they call it Student Support Redefined. And what was great was we had her in the beginning, so we had her in the first presentation about 8:15 tell us all the different factors about student success, such as nurturing and connecting with the students and engagement. So all these 6 factors that she talked about. Then we had some wonderful other presentations, and then during lunch we brought her back and we had a great interactive session about 10 ways everyone can actually apply those techniques. So that was a wonderful lunch interactive presentation. And I'll have Patty or Kathleen.
Actually, it takes 2 deans to click here. But what I did want to talk about, and I think it's something that's important for our college and our district, is bringing people together. And I think that what the Student Success Summit did is brought faculty, classified staff, and administrators together to talk about what I consider one of the most important topics and issues that we're dealing with in today's state, and that is student success. And this, above all, was a meaningful summit in terms of bringing us together. There were 33 presentations facilitated by our faculty, staff, and administrators. We brought together a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of skill sets to really start teasing out what student success means here at Saddleback College. Our sample presentations included anything from successful tutoring models to financial aid to online education, so we covered the gamut. And again, what was key, and this is really important for our Board of Trustees, our Chancellor, our presidents, it's bringing people together for a common goal, and that common goal was realized under the guise of student success.
Next, we're going to share some amazing moments with you, 3 video clips that really encapsulate some of the topics that we focused on for student success that day. The first presenter here that you'll see is Dan DeRelay. He's an English professor at Irvine Valley.
It takes a lot of courage for them, I think, to even come into class many times. And so I put this on the table on the first day. I asked them, do any of you feel that your writing problems, you don't have to raise your hands, but if any of you feel that your writing problems are so big that whatever you do is just a drop in the bucket? That you can do all of this, but chances are by the end of the term, you're still going to be a poor writer, that this is going to follow you around all your life. And I used to think that this was maybe about, 5 people in every class. It turns out, as I survey my students, it's somewhere between a third and a half.
So talking about student success strategies for writing. Next, we have a part-time counselor from Saddleback talking about some strategies.
The class by saying our highs and lows. I remember doing that at the dinner table and I hated it. It was the lamest thing ever. But there's some days where you're super stoked and you gotta tell someone something, and then there's other days when you're not so stoked and you just need to get something off your chest. So we do it in class, and some days they're all about it and other days it's like pulling teeth. But the best feeling for me is them see me in the hallway and be like, I have a high for today, and I'm like, yes, and that makes my day.
So, and then a final clip from our speaker.
Nurturing is a catalyst for the other 5 factors. Once you're kind to someone and you show them that you actually care about them, you can help them get directed, you can help them get focused, you can help them feel valued, but it starts with like that basic human element of being kind, right? And showing someone that you care. So this factor is a catalyst for the other 5 factors.
So a little kindness clearly goes a long way.
So we had great feedback from the presentations. Bruce Gilman said one could hear minds and hearts turning. Juan, who's here, said, "I left the summit re-energized." And then another great quote by Dr. Bob Bermucci. It was really a wonderful event, and we just wanted to thank the Board of Trustees, the presidents, and all the faculty, staff, and administrators for a very successful Student Success Summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Does anybody have any questions? Oh, wonderful job. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we did actually.
Yes, we had a presentation at the Orange County School Board Association dinner from the Gallup poll, and one of the things they said was a huge factor in predicting future success was hope. If you gave students hope, they would try. So anyway, goes along with the nurturing. Next, we have 4.2 Basic Aid Allocation Recommendations for fiscal year 14-15.
First of all, I wanted to make sure that everybody got the substitute pages, and I have the changes in yellow. All right, tonight we're going to give a presentation about the recommendations for basic aid funding and the projects that are being recommended. Chancellor Portner asked that I at least give a preview, or a review, I should say, of what basic aid is, and also how the process came about. So some of you may or may not be aware that basic aid is calculated differently, okay? So first of all, what happens is at the State Chancellor's Office, the 72 community college districts, first of all, receive their respective enrollment fees and property taxes. But then there's a calculation that's done that calculates each school district's revenue limit, and that's based on SB 361, which is the state formula. If you're a college that has your property taxes and your enrollment fees equal to less than what the revenue limit is calculated for your particular district, then the state makes up that portion, that gap, through state apportionment, okay? So state funding. If you happen to be a district whose property taxes and enrollment fees exceed that revenue limit, then the state obviously doesn't provide state funding. You keep it, and that difference, that excess, is what we commonly call basic aid. So that increment then is the basic aid amount that we refer to at this district. Now, districts can become basic aid through a variety of ways, but basically it's a factor based on the revenue limit calculation and really a dynamic between what your enrollment growth is and your property taxes, your assessed values for new homes and businesses coming into the area. Now, basic aid itself is not a funding source. So basically, there's no income category in our financial books or statements that basically says basic aid. It's the excess property taxes and enrollment fees. Other preferred terms that we really prefer is self-sufficiency or locally funded district or even community-based district is a recent term I've heard. There now are 6 community colleges, districts that are considered basic aid. And besides ourselves, there's Marin and Maricosta, which were the other 2 along with us for many, many years. And most recently, over the last, I'd say 2 years, San Jose, San Mateo, and West Valley Mission have all become basic aid districts. It's important to note that for our district, the DRAC model was calculated first. So basically, our formula here at our district is based on SB 361 model, and we calculate that through the DRAC committee, and then those dollars are taken off the top before we have the remaining balance, which is basically the amount of money that we allocate for basic aid projects. So that's how it works. I had some illustrations that we've done before where we talked about what basic aid is. This one just shows an illustration where you can sort of see, in our case, in Maricosta's case, when we had assessed values increase based on number of homes and property values, that's how we became basic aid district. And that's assuming in this little illustration that our enrollment remains flat. Now, if our enrollment increases, you can see the gap between what would happen is the SB 361 and the revenue limit would go up, so there'd be a smaller gap then between the excess property taxes. So that could harm us, particularly if we don't watch our enrollment growth as well. So it really is a fine balance of what we have to do and balance. For the College of Marin, they kept their property tax base really didn't increase, but what happened is they decreased their enrollment, so they strategically managed their enrollment to make sure that they can go on basic aid, and they've been on there, on the cusp of basic aid for many years. So that just is an illustration on how that district became basic aid. All right, I think I'll let David, I should have also introduced David Kachatrian, who's also going to do a presentation with me, and here he is.
Thank you, Deborah. So how did the basic aid allocation process come about in our district? You may remember back in 2011, IVC and Saddleback colleges received or placed on a warning by ACCJC, and there were a total of six recommendations, and a couple of them included recommendations and concerns about the resource allocation and planning. Specifically, accreditation recommendation number 2 stated that the teams recommend that the district and the colleges develop and implement a resource allocation model driven by planning that includes all district funds and is open, transparent, inclusive, and that is widely disseminated and reviewed, evaluated periodically for effectiveness. In response to the recommendation, the district formed a work group, and the work group basically from the very beginning agreed that our draft process is working beautifully. There are no issues with that. Everybody agreed that it's transparent, it's widely disseminated, and there is a widespread understanding about the model and how it works. There were concerns raised about the remaining funds, which is what we call, as Deborah mentioned, the basic aid, and there was a sense that that process had to be formalized, and the committee agreed to recommend that a board policy and AR be implemented and instituted to govern the basic aid allocation process and make it transparent, inclusive, and open. And as a result, BP 3110 and AR 3110 were approved in 2011 and 2012 fiscal years or years respectively. And the main principle governing these board policies and AR is the fact that basic aid funds should be used for one-time expenses only, and that advances the notion of being fiscally conservative and protecting the district and the colleges. And of course, the allocations recommended for the Board of Trustees approval would be in support of the vision, mission, and strategies and goals of the colleges and the district. And there are 5 main categories in which basic aid funds could be recommended. The main one, the big one, of course, is capital construction, major renovation, and large infrastructure projects. And they all need to be driven through EFMP and 5-year construction plan and 20-year facility renovation and scheduled maintenance plans. The second item is retiree benefit trust fund and other long-term obligations. Of course, trustee elections, legislative advocacy, major legal fees and judgments, and major technology initiatives as identified in district and college technology plans. And as you can see, many of these are driven by planning, and that is the key concept behind the BPA&R that was recommended and approved. And lastly, number 5 is small renovation and small renovation equipment included and scheduled maintenance. And for scheduled maintenance, there's a requirement for 50% match from college funds, with the other 50% coming from basic aid. And again, that also needs to be based on the 20-year facility renovation plan as well. This flow chart is a visual display of how basic aid process works and how all these different plans and committee work feed into the basic aid allocation and recommendation committee, which is called BARC. And BARC itself does not make any prioritization of the plans developed by the colleges and synthesized by the district-wide committees. What BARC focuses on is simply recommendations on the funding approach and how to recommend funding approvals for the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees in a way to maximize the benefit to the colleges. But BARC itself, is important to note, does not change any of the recommendations developed by the colleges and the district-wide committees. This one is actually a broader representation. This shows not only DRAC and BARC processes, but also encompasses the restricted funds on the right. This is in response to the accreditation recommendation number 2, which noted that all college or district funds should be openly available and the process should be known. On this slide, what's important, and as Deborah mentioned as well, is that property taxes and other fees, little box towards the middle, those are the two funding sources that feed into the DRAC model, and that's calculated first, and the remaining balance becomes basic aid or funding available for basic aid allocation. And we're proud to note that the BPA and AR 3110 have worked very well for the last couple of years, and BARC is also doing its job. There is a KIC, which is the Capital Improvement Committee, and DTC. Those are the major committees that make recommendations to BARC, and DTC is District-Wide Technology Committee. And from the college's perspective, I think the process has worked great for the last 2 years, and I believe we're ready to make recommendations for 14-15, and I will turn it over to Deborah for that.
So how has the new BPNAR been working? Just to remind you, 2 years ago in May of 2012, our first recommendation was a dual year. It was actually 2 years' worth of excess property taxes. And we recommended and the board approved $74 million worth of capital and technology-related projects. So that represented 2 years' worth of basic aid funding. Okay. Then last year, again, year two, so it was our first full year and single year, $52 million, a little more than $52 million were allocated for basic aid projects. Feedback, we have a self-evaluation process as well as feedback that we've gotten through surveys and other methods. Seems that the first 2 years of this new process has worked very well, and the feedback has been very positive, and that the process has worked well and as intended, which is very important. So now it comes to this spring. This past spring, the Basic Aid Allocation Recommendation Committee has reviewed the district-wide and college plans and funding priorities that were recommended to BARC. They finalized the recommendations after an intense spring to the Chancellor in April, and the Chancellor and college presidents support the BARC recommendations presented this evening. The BPNAR 3110 were strictly followed, and the process went well. And the BARC discussions are very collegial, and input was very broad-based for this particular round. And final recommendations were very reflective of the mindful discussion and integrated planning efforts. So you can really see that throughout the process this year. All right, so now to the basic information. The total estimated property tax for basic aid was approximately $38 million this year. We take off the top a contingency, and this is part of the BPNAR. There has to be a 20% contingency for unrealized tax collections, because what we're doing tonight and what we're doing next month is we're recommending for next year. So these are anticipated tax collections for the year. Now, we base those on very conservative estimates of property taxes. We work very closely with the county's assessor's office, so we know what we're coming in at, and we're recommending below what we think, conservatively. Okay, but still, just to be even more conservative, we have a 20% contingency for unrealized. Then we add back into the pot basically the prior year's contingency, which is a little bit over $7 million last year, and unallocated funds, either unallocated or return funds. So that estimated over $16 million for a total available for allocation of around $47 million this coming year. Now, this is where it gets to the interesting part, and it's the recommendations. So if you can look in your board packet, the board packet's very thick. It's item 4.2. Okay, so that it would be page 3 of item 4.2 on your iPads. I'm not sure what iPad number that would be.
Is it Exhibit A?
There's Exhibit A, and it should be page 3 of
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A. So you can see there's a funding. It talks about what's funding available that I just went over, and at the very bottom you can see the long-term obligations. Now, most years, long-term obligations include the retirement benefit, health benefit transfer to that fund. But if you recall, we brought an actuary report a couple months back in which you saw that the trust fund was adequately funded, and we weren't recommending an additional amount for the coming year. So usually that's about $3 to $4 million. So that is not included in the number this year. So that number this year includes the legislative advocacy amount, trustee elections, and just double check this. Of course, the insurance fund for deductibles. So that adds up to the $575,000 for this year. Now, the next category is really important to us. It's the capital projects. And it's on page 4 and 5 of Exhibit A. And also there's descriptions for those projects 10 through 12. Brandy Delane is going to come up and give you the highlights for the capital projects.
Good evening. So the capital projects, we have two major capital projects, one at each campus. The first one at Saddleback College is related to the ATAS or the TAS renovation. I believe there was a question last month from Dr. Wright about where is that money and was it coming back, and this demonstrates now that it is coming back. So for that project, the major renovation project, $11,225,000. Right below that is an associated project, the ATAS Major Renovation Swing Space. It's a new building, and that we're asking for escalation on that building as well as a few $300,000 in increased scope on that project. Over at IVC, the major project there is the ATEP new building. We're very excited about this. The first new building on the ATEP campus, first new permanent building. We're requesting $8,950,000. If you recall, a few years prior, we've added $12,500,000 to the ATEP budget. We'll be using those funds now for this first building in addition to the $8,950,000. That will get us all of the money necessary for construction minus the furniture, fixture, and equipment, which you'll hear a request for next year, hopefully. And then after that, you'll see the Gateway and the Fine Arts projects. Gateway here at Saddleback, Fine Arts over at IVC. The Gateway, you see a negative dollar amount. Both the Gateway and the Fine Arts buildings reflect money that will address design only for these buildings. Now, those buildings will move forward only if the State Chancellor's Office in the state of California approves the bond. And so, should they approve the bond, we're positioned now to move forward with the design through the allocations that are here in this assignment. The negative on the Gateway took some money away from Gateway because we had already assigned more than was necessary for the design and allowed us to address other projects this year. After that, we have two more projects that would also move toward design. Those would be at IVC, the B300, at IVC it's the A200, the Student Success Center, and here at Saddleback College it would be Athletic Stadium. As you recall, a few months ago we talked about how that is increased in priorities, and so with that increase in priorities we're asking that money be assigned for the criteria architect and we can begin design on that project. So that's a recap on your capital improvements.
Okay, next on the list are construction defects. There is one project on that list for $750,000, and it's related to the LRC, construction defects related to the HVAC and plumbing, and so that's what that is. Next one down is a category called Planning, Technical, Specialty, and Legal Consultants to support the capital programs. You'll see a variety of things on that list that's on a district-wide basis, support a lot of the facilities planning behind it and technical experts we need for a lot of the capital projects. And again, you'll see the list. You can ask us if you have any questions on any of this. The next one on the list is scheduled maintenance projects. There's one on the list for scheduled maintenance, and it's related to IVC B100. It's the roof and HVAC, and that's for $493,350. Then the next one is a category called small and major renovation projects. That one's on page 8. There are a list of about 7 projects on that page. The first 3 projects are related to Saddleback, and it's planning dollars for 3 larger projects, but they need to start the planning this coming year. The planning is for campus-wide digital security access, which is keyless locks, and as you know, with a lot of things happening across the nation regarding security, they want to start planning and designing the ability to have keyless locks entries in a lot of the buildings that we have now existing where we have physical keys. And it would make the entire site more safe. The next 2 are for the central plant and cogen upgrade. and then the campus-wide fire alarm system at Saddleback. Those are all planning dollars. Then there's 2 projects at IVC for the B400 Life Science Building Labs and the access control. Again, they're going to plan keyless locks in that building. And then for the B200, rebuilding the classroom wing and labs. So those, again, are major and small renovation projects. Then the next category is district-wide technology projects. And you'll see starting on page 13, but I believe it's page 17, if I'm right, Bob. Dr. Bermucci will go over some highlights regarding the IT projects that are on this list.
This 50-plus pages of documentation roughly fits into 5 main categories. The 2 largest categories are going to be infrastructure. Example of that is the network work, the wireless network expansion, the wired network expansion, as well as enterprise resource planning. Example of that is we're replacing our aging HR and finance enterprise resource planning systems. They are 14 and 24 years old, respectively. The third category is one dear to our hearts. It is student success, following in the footsteps of such projects as MAP and Sherpa. We will now have a scheduled project for a class schedule upgrade, as well as a course recommendation engine, as well as other projects such as a study to head towards what's called single sign-on, one single way to sign on to get to the dozens of services that we provide, as well as an auto password reset tool, which should simplify that function for students. A fourth category is safety issues. Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons already mentioned one, which I think is a nice example of collaboration between the technology and the capital construction committees, that the electronic lock item, an important safety feature, was moved to capital construction. Other items remain security-related items. Network access control, a fancy way of saying it. We want to provide more services to more people at less cost and less risk. Other security-related things will include an incident management system so that we will have a single point of contact for behavioral problems. Anyone dealing with students with behavioral problems will be able to coordinate that mission now. And finally, one last category, the state gives us mandates, unfunded mandates, to which we have to respond. 2 examples of that are changes in how we handle prerequisite courses, and also new changes in the prioritization of MAP plans, which will go into effect in 2 stages this year and next year. So these 15 projects that have been recommended for funding fall generally into those 5 categories.
Okay, and then the last item on the list is ATEP operations, and that's on page 70 through 72 of the packet of the 72 pages, so it's the last couple pages of the item 4.2. And this is a little bit different. It's a little bit different from the other recommendations, and it's based on board approval several years back, in which board has approved supporting previously approved positions and operations for which includes security, for instance, of the temporary campus in the entire 68 acres at ATEP. And that amounts to $509,000. So the total allocations being recommended by BARC through the Chancellor and the Presidents is $47,263,390. What that does is have a remaining balance to remain in basic aid of $76,000 with a contingency of 20% for unrealized tax collection of $7.7 million. Now that brings us to your questions this evening. The next steps in this process, after I hear comments and questions, are that what we would normally do is next month we will incorporate the basic aid projects into the tentative budget. And what that means is when you get the tentative budget and the presentation and the whole entire packet, you would see these basic aid projects in that portion of the funding, which would be Fund 40, which primarily most of these were Fund 40, and that would be there for your approval to begin then effective July 1st of 2014. And that's it. I just want to thank the KIC committee and DTC and BARC for working so collegially and being so mindful and looking at things in a holistic way to make these recommendations to you this evening. And we'll take questions. We also have tonight with us the directors of facilities at both of the colleges. John Edwards and John Nazarevich should be also happy to answer any questions specific to the colleges. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions? Trustee Jamal. Oh, there it is, right there.
Thank you. Just a few quick questions. You just in terms of definitions, I know you mentioned small projects versus major. Is the cutoff point above $500,000 is considered major and below is considered small? Just, it seemed like you used that threshold.
The cutoff is $1 million, and it's part of the BP and AR, particularly the AR. It's in the back. There's a definition page in the back of the administrative regulation for 3110.
Okay. And then I noticed it's not surprising that between, I think, capital projects and district-wide technology projects, it's some over 82% of the funding is going to those two categories. Is there a determination that it should be a certain percentage, or how do you consider that at all when deciding the priorities of funding?
There's no formula, but obviously the intent is for capital and for large-scale projects versus small projects that could be funded operationally through the college budgets. So that's one piece. And it has to be based on our major plans, Education Facilities Master Plan and capital. And obviously we have no other mechanism to fund capital projects. So it ends up being large-scale projects that cannot be funded in other kinds of ways. But there's no formula, and it really depends on year to year. In some years, for instance, this year it's a larger pot for IT, and it's really a matter of phasing and need of that particular year and weighing the domino effects of projects. And you can't technically really do a lot of things at the same time. So some of these things are staggered for just sheer logistics at the college. So there's not construction everywhere and students can't find parking and all that kind of stuff.
Then just one last question is the ATEP, the new ATEP building, what's going to be housed there?
Some of the current programming that's already in the temporary campus, plus other programming. They've done some initial planning, and then planning will continue, and it'll be provided. And I don't know if Dr. Roquemore wants to mention a little bit more about that, expand it.
Yes, Deborah is exactly right, taking programs that are currently at ATEP. So advanced manufacturing would be one. Design and model making expanded to include medical devices. So the Edwards Life Sciences relationship there. We are also, we have finished, in fact, Professor Rupa Mather has been part of developing curriculum for pre-engineering, and this is a program that is in partnership with UCI. And so it'll develop a pathway to engineering technicians and also an opportunity to become a professional engineer through that at a point to have a choice. We're also looking at DMA, which is Digital Media Arts, and that is primarily focusing now on the gaming industry, so the Blizzard technologies there. And also the possibility of electricity and electronics being there as well, and photonics, which is another big focus area for Orange County.
Thank you.
All right. Trustee Wright.
Excellent presentation. I just want to applaud you for this presentation. It was very well done, and I seem to understand everything. The other thing I want to thank you for is that including the major innovation for the task building. Thank you.
All right. See no more requests to speak. Nice job. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to
So moved.
adopt the consent calendar? I have a motion and a second. Did you catch that? All right. Are there any items to be pulled? Go ahead and. Okay. 5.1.
And 5.6.
And 5.6. Okay. Any others? This has got to be a record.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
All right.
So I will amend my motion to exclude those two.
Okay, we amend the motion to exclude 5.1, 5.6. We'll go ahead and vote. Trustee Jay? Thank you. We have a unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes vote. So looking at 5.1, you said you found a correction?
This was on Exhibit C, page 1 of 2. It says here in discussion items, it says improvement of Saddleback College. It should say probably IVC, Irvine Valley College.
Oh, yeah.
It's Exhibit C,
Oh, yes.
page 1 of 2 at the bottom.
It's talking about IVC, but
See, we're
in
at the IV
the body it talks about Saddleback. Yeah.
Right.
So someone made a mistake. Right?
That was a very simple one.
Okay. So with that correction, I will make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further corrections? Seeing none, go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes with one student advisory yes vote. And then next you had 5.6.
5.6 on Exhibit A, there's a misspelled word. Fullerton is misspelled right about in the middle of the page. October 31st, Halloween Express, Fullerton.
Oh,
Should be
there's
another L.
two L's. Okay, with that correction, I'll move the item.
Motion and a second.
There you go. That's amazing.
And we'll go ahead and vote on the item. All right, unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes vote. Moving on to 6.1, Consolidated Elections for members of governing boards.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or presentation on these? On this item? No? Go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes. Moving on to 6.2, Agreement for Information Technology Services.
I'll move the item.
I have a motion from Trustee Padberg, second from Trustee Wright. Any presentation on this? Any discussion or questions?
This is backfill for IT employees who are taken away from normal job duties to work on the HR finance implementation. eNamix will be providing mostly business architects or BAs as well as quality assurance experts or QA services.
Perfect. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes. 6.3, district-wide network refresh. Gonna assume
Move the item.
Got a motion from Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Jamal, and we'll probably get a presentation from Dr. Bermucci.
This is a multi-year project. We are in year 2. Year 1's primary responsibilities were a survey of the miles of fiber which underlie both campuses, as well as the refresh of the wireless network. We're in year 2. The main activities have been the replacement of the edge switches, approximately 200 of them throughout the campuses. Those are the equipment that you see in the closets of virtually every building. They will tie into much larger hardware called core switches. Their implementation will bridge this fiscal year and the next. The last step in year 3 will be to actually put the new fiber in the ground, as well as to start replacing both the software as well as the hardware for the aging phone or voice infrastructure.
Perfect. Any questions on that?
Is this an action item? Looks like it's not.
It's
Approve. Okay.
Approve the
it is
use,
approved.
yeah.
All right, I move the item.
have a motion. Have a second. 2 seconds. Go ahead and vote on the item. All right, unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes. 6.4, board policy revisions for review and study. Got a motion of approval from Trustee Jamal, second from Trustee Lang. Any questions or discussion on this one? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes. 6.5, board policy revisions for discussion and approval from last meeting. They were review and study.
So move.
I have a motion from Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Jamal. Any questions on any of these? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the item.
Jamal, trustee.
More. All right. Unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes. 6.6, full-time faculty hiring amendment. A
Second.
motion of approve from Trustee Jamal, second from Trustee Wright. Is there anything on this? It speaks for itself. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote and one student advisory yes. 6.7, we have to recess to a public hearing. Before we do that, I do have one speaker, or do we save that for the public hearing? You save the speak for the public hearing. All right, so we'll go ahead and before we have that public hearing, Vice Chancellor Brigay will provide an introduction.
The board will conduct a public hearing to provide an opportunity for the public to comment on the district initial proposal to the South Orange County Community College District Faculty Association. If you have any questions about the public hearing process, I'll be here to assist.
All right, so does the board have any questions for staff to assist with their understanding of this matter? Seeing none, we will now open the public hearing on the matter at hand is now open. Public comments. We do have one request to speak from Dan Walsh.
Thank you. Members of the board, Chancellor Portner. As Academic Senate President, I have a different perspective on the contract negotiations. The district proposes to allow a calendar shift for counselors. Counselors are faculty, and having them on a different calendar will reduce their ability to effectively participate in the shared governance process. If they are here in the summer, we don't have Academic Senate meetings during the summer. If they aren't here in the fall and spring, they can't participate in Academic Senate meetings there either. In addition, it's not just Senate, it's all of our committees where faculty have a voice in the process. I fear that we may lose counselors also stepping up to faculty leadership positions. If they're here in an off schedule when our primary meetings occur during the fall and spring, they won't be able to participate in those without some type of additional compensation or coming in on when there should be off when they're not scheduled. I encourage the district to continue to recognize counselors as faculty with rights set by Ed Code and that they have a role in the college governance process. Let's keep one calendar for all of our faculty. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any response to comments at this time?
Certainly appreciate any input from Academic Senate.
All right. So the public hearing is now closed. Is there any further discussion on this matter by the board?
Move the item.
All right.
It's not
The
an
item,
action item.
well, not yet. Item 6.7 is now concluded.
Right.
Now we'll take a motion on the item. We have a motion by Trustee
Yeah,
Jay,
again, move the item.
and then a second by Trustee Jamal. All right. Go ahead and vote on the item. You have a unanimous yes vote and one student advisory yes. 6.8, academic personnel actions. No changes? Do I have a
Move
motion?
the item.
I have a motion from Trustee Padberg. Second from Trustee Lang. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote with one student advisory yes. 6.9, classified personnel actions. No changes. Any
Move
questions?
the item.
We have a motion from
Second.
Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Padberg. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes. 6.10, Irvine Valley College Management Reorganization. Any presentation or information on that?
Pretty much self-explanatory as presented, but President Roquemore could provide some more background for the board.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd be happy to. The Irvine Valley College has actually had a long history of having a position of Vice President of Administrative Services. When I came to the college in 1990, one was in existence, and I'm sure that many years before that it was in place. At about around 1998, it was eliminated by former President Raghu Mather. Again, approximate dates, but really quite a long time that was in position. So when I became president, I had police, facilities and maintenance, institutional research, planning and accreditation, institutional technology, fiscal services, college foundation, PIO, marketing, and publications reporting to me. In this reorganization, I would then have the PIO, marketing, and publications, as well as the foundation. The foundation needs my attention. The VP of Administrative Services, the new position, would have police, technology services, facilities and maintenance, as well as fiscal services. And then the Vice President for Instruction would pick up research, planning, and accreditation, because all of that is very much focused on the instructional side of the house. It's important to realize that almost all colleges the size of Irvine Valley College has a third vice president. And this will give me, as president, the ability to focus more time on the ever-growing demands on student success, as well as the leadership that will be needed to help build our portion of a third campus, one that, if you look at just square footage, is larger than either one of the existing campuses, and there's a lot of work that has to be done there. The programs that would be shifted to the vice president then would get the much needed attention, the level of attention of supervision that I couldn't provide because I had so many areas to work in. So those are the primary reasons, and we are following a process with this that following Saddleback right to the T in a process that the trustees had approved for them.
Okay.
I'll move the item.
I have a motion from Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Lang, and a request to speak from Trustee Jamal.
I just had a question for the Chancellor, Chancellor Portner. Your thoughts on this reorganization? You think it's a good move?
Yeah, I'm in full support of the reorganization. I think it's time that the president spends more of his efforts on student success and on ATEP, as well as the other responsibilities he has. And I have some fear that the other areas, such as fiscal and the maintenance department and police, will suffer in their lack of supervision without this kind of a structure. So I support it wholeheartedly.
Okay. And I just wanted to clarify, and I believe you mentioned this, but it's worth noting, the same position exists with Saddleback. We approved it before, and we're just following, having parallel type structure.
To a T.
Correct. All right, perfect. Any other requests to speak? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one student advisory yes. Now under reports, 7.1, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College annual accreditation reports. Any requests to speak on those? 7.2, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College speakers. Nothing on those. 7.3, basic aid report, which we pretty much got a pretty detailed presentation on. 7.4, facilities plan status report. Seeing none. Monthly financial status report. Seeing none. 7.6, quarterly investment report. No request to speak. 7.7, retiree trust fund. All is looking good there. Okay, moving on to reports from administration and governance groups, starting with Saddleback College Academic Senate.
Dan Walsh, Saddleback College Academic Senate President. I'll be brief. The end of semester is crazy, and I have to go home and grade stacks of projects and exams. But thank you for the listening sessions. I, too, thought they were very effective, and I look forward to the next ones.
Okay. Next we have Faculty Association.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Well, it has been said that all good things must come to an end, and my term as president is coming to an end at the end of this week. I would like to, it's been an honor, in fact, to serve in this capacity, and I would like to thank the members of the Board of Trustees for their cordial interactions with me. I'd like to thank Vice Chancellor Begay for what I would call a cordial working relationship. I've told him he's going to miss me, but I don't know that he's so sure of that. Finally, I'd like to thank Chancellor Portner because he is the one who sets the tone for the district, and the tone has been very different in recent years, much more collegial. And finally, I would just say that I'm going to continue to participate in activities of the association in my role as past president, but I would consider retirement if the district would offer a retirement incentive.
I think you just talked us out of it. Okay. IVC Academic Senate.
Kathy Schmeidler, President of the IVC Academic Senate. I've been pretty brief in most of my reports this year, but I'm going to get a little bit more lengthy. Not as lengthy as you've seen me on occasion, but a little bit more lengthy than usual. First, welcome to our new student trustee. It's a pleasure to see you here, and we look forward to a year's worth of good activity. I'd like to thank Paula for having represented the Faculty Association for so many years, especially this one, so well. And to get ahead of myself, welcome Claire for the next year. Hey, Claire. All right. 2 years. Next 2 years, excuse me. It'll just seem like 4. But to business. On behalf of the IVC faculty, I'd like to thank the Chancellor and the board for arranging and attending the listening session at IVC. I estimated that at least 50 people attended, but I wasn't keeping careful count. About half faculty and half classified staff and police officers from what I could gather. It appeared that everyone had an opportunity to speak who wanted one, and it seemed to me anyway that there was very good interplay between the faculty and staff, with members of each group supporting topics and concerns raised by members of the other group. And I think that speaks very well to our community at IVC. I believe there was a general sense of appreciation that the members of the board went out of their way to arrange a situation that would encourage us to speak openly. I'm not convinced that the absence of administrators and managers actually was necessary to do that, but we appreciate the gesture and the intention, and it certainly couldn't have hurt. One concern has arisen, at least for me, however, from this exercise. I think we all recognize the importance and the power of contracts. Many of you are business people and or attorneys. Even the rest of us who aren't recognize the importance of having contracts and following contracts. It tells all the players the rules of the game we're playing together, sets parameters, and often tells us our or agrees upon intentions. For us here at the district, our processes and procedures serve the same role as contracts do in the great outer world. We aspire to come to agreement about what we intend to accomplish and how to go about it. We intend to deal with each other in a civil way and with mutual respect, as a recently adopted board policy states. But mutual respect and civil intercourse does not mean we must all agree at all times and that we're not allowed to argue. We can argue, we can disagree, as long as we're respectful and civil while we do it. When parties initially disagree, we may be able to find a mutually agreeable solution, which would be great, or a compromise, which is almost as good. If not, it may be that one side wins and the other loses, or mostly wins and mostly loses, or that an external power makes a decision. All of this is how life runs. What concerns me is when the process to work out an agreement is interrupted because some participants complain to people in power, who are then distressed that there's disagreement and attempt to intervene, usually with the best intentions. The message some of us hear is that if civil discussion isn't working fast enough, try throwing a tantrum, or threaten to throw a tantrum, and see if that helps. And wow, it often does. I have 4 children. I do know this. I certainly hope that my impression is incorrect and all is well in process land. My mantra has been trust the process, use the process. If the process is broken, fix the process, then trust the process and use the process. I hope that that's your intention as well, and I hope that my impression is incorrect. One other item that I'd like to speak to in response to a discussion earlier this evening, with respect to basic aid. And by the way, as far as I could tell, having served on many of these committees and councils and whatnot, the process worked really, really well. What Deborah described is correct. I was very pleased with those processes. But this is more of a philosophical question, which, by the way, I alluded to at the listening thing, too. Listening. I keep calling it a listening post, and I know that's wrong. But here's my question. Should we, this is a philosophical question, should we strategically manage our enrollment to stay on basic aid? Or should we use the tax revenues to serve the students who wish to attend our colleges? Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I would say, of course, we recognize the fiduciary responsibility of the board to manage finances and to respect the taxpayers of the district. I'm not contentious with that one little bit. But I must wonder whether they, the taxpayers, the citizens of the district, would prefer that we refrain from offering classes in order to remain on basic aid. And I just ask you to think about that, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Where are we at? Associate Vice Chancellor, Economic Development.
Thank you. Good evening. Well, first, welcome to Student Trustee Carrillo. Glad to have you here. I'd like to provide an ATEP Development Master Plan update. An ATEP Development Master Plan has been crafted by district services, college campus representatives under the direction of HMC architects and the Planning Center, and being organized and managed by a steering committee. The second series of these meetings took place earlier this month, and the ATEP Development Master Plan meetings will continue through this early fall, including campus presentations for input and discussion scheduled now at each of the college's staff development weeks. Also, there's a presentation that will be planned early in the fall. Thank you.
All right. Vice Chancellor, Technology and Learning Services.
Congratulations again to Sandi Pope from District IT for her selection as the District Services Employee of the Year. We're proud of her.
Thank you. Vice Chancellor, Human Resources.
President Paula Jacobs. She's been good to work with, enjoyed it. We had some disagreements, but the disagreements really didn't go past the office door very often at all. We work well together. So, Paula, I'm going to miss you, whether you believe it or not. Incoming is Claire. She's actually wonderful to work with so far, but we'll see. And then our new student trustee, welcome aboard. And our board, I have to tell you, the idea of a listening session, I have never heard of a board wanting to hear more comments from the public. That was very noble, and you, the Chancellor certainly had a large part of that, but that was unique and very, very different, and I really appreciate that. And then also negotiations begins this Thursday, as you could probably tell.
Okay, Vice Chancellor, Business Services.
I just want to welcome Student Trustee Carrillo. Welcome to the board. You've already made a good impression in how you speak and very professional. Welcome.
Okay, IVC Classified Senate.
Vincent Cooper, President, IVC Classified Senate. Congratulations, Mr. Carrillo. I said a very similar oath when I joined the Marine Corps, so you may want to double check any papers that you signed this evening. But I would like to thank the board for your support and your encouragement and all your work for this past academic year, and I look forward to seeing you at commencement. I would also like to thank my supervisor, Diane Oakes, who's the Director of Marketing and Broadcast Services, for her support and for all her help in allowing me to participate in the shared governance process. And I have been selected to give a seminar at the upcoming CLI this June on effective leadership and communication. So it should be a fun summer. Thank you.
Okay. And CSEA President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Scott Ferguson Green, President, Chapter 586, Board of Trustees. I want to thank you very much, and Chancellor Portner, thank you for the listening sessions. The comments that we received back from our constituents is the fact they don't ever remember the Board of Trustees reaching out and wanting to have a dialogue with the classified staff, with the faculty, and trying to really come to an understanding on many issues. So we really thank you for that. And we're looking forward to more listening sessions and the continuing of dialogue. We want to thank you also for the resolution last month for Classified School Employees Week, which is this week. We're celebrating that right now. We have many things that are happening so that the classified staff could be recognized. We are preparing for our CSA annual conference. This year we have 7 resolutions. There are 4 that are general policy resolutions that we're going to be debating and going over. There are also resolutions, there are 3 of them, that have to do with general legislation. And one of the ones, of course, that we're going to be discussing is about school safety. And that's something, again, is not really a debate as far as trying to keep our schools safe, K through 12, community colleges on the state level, but also, too, how we're going to fund that. And that's something that is going to generate a lot of discussion at the conference. But we're hoping to find answers, come to an understanding, and resolve some of those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. And Saddleback College, Classified Senate.
Yes, thank you. Mike Sauter, Classified Senate, Saddleback College. Here to wrap it up for tonight. It was mentioned earlier, and I'd like to congratulate Giziel Leftwich for this year's Employee of the Year for Saddleback College. I'd also like to say congratulations to Brooke Sauter, who was named the Classified Employee of the Year by the California Community College Board of Governors. I'm very proud that she is representing this district, and I want to thank you for your support in her nomination. We are definitely blessed that she is heading up to Sacramento tomorrow morning. And then it is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Nicholas Schmidt. He is an administrative assistant working in the Child Development Center. His duties run the gamut from phone calls, emails, and payments to storytelling, assistant helper, and garden box builder. Nick loves his position in the Child Development Center, and his love for the work with children is evident to every parent and child that walks through those doors. And like all classified employees, he is working hard for students and their success. Nick is also working hard at fulfilling his dreams and continuing his education. He is entering his 4th term at Pacific Oaks College, where he will be earning his Master's of Arts in Human Development with an emphasis in social change. He also holds a 4.0. Once completed, his professional goal is to seek a director position managing humanitarian efforts in East Asia and Africa in the arena of family health, early education, vaccinations, and HIV prevention and treatment. His personal goal is to give each life the opportunity to develop to its greatest potential through education, expression, and basic human rights. The Classified Senate wished Nick all the success in the world. But wishing is sometimes not enough. So we, the Classified Senate, have named Mr. Nicholas Schmidt this year's Classified Senate Scholarship recipient. He will receive $500 to help further his professional and personal goals, and we wish him good luck and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight we adjourn our meeting in memory of former Saddleback College employee Virgil Moore, who recently passed away. He was a groundskeeper during Saddleback College's early years, a beloved member of the staff, and a regular fixture on field trips as a driver for campus events. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, friends, and colleagues. Thank you.